Okay, so you're right, but here's why I didn't count them.
It's because you forgot they fucking existed.
Shut the fuck up! Okay, let me justify this. In my mind, a shapeshifter is someone who can transform into other beings? So yes, technically shapeshifting means you're able to manipulate your body to change into anything else. So Elongated Man, Plastic Man, Mr. Fantastic, those people are shapeshifters, yes. But Plastic Man needs to be Plastic Man colored. Like, yeah, he could change into anything. In fact, he can turn into other characters. But he needs to excuse that big-ass fucking diamond belt buckle shit, as well as being less colors than a fucking McDonald's sign. So while yes, if we're counting the most powerful shapeshifters, then I guess you're correct. Yes, Plastic Man is the most powerful shapeshifter. But if we're choosing most effective, my vote's still on McGann.
Nice going, comic book guy.
What the fuck did I tell you?
How is the tidal wave hitting Missouri?
This actually gives me a great excuse to talk about this. So if your only introduction to comics is through the TV shows, that's perfectly fine. If your only interaction with superheroes and the only way that you get your superhero information is through TV shows, that is perfectly, totally okay. You are just as valid a fan as somebody who reads every single comic. You just gotta keep one thing in mind. You're not particularly able to cross-contaminate the information from one to the other, because the comics and the shows serve two different narrative purposes. The characters and the settings and the powers are not going to be the same. Smallville Superman is not directly translatable to comic book Superman. Same with TV show Flash to comic book Flash. Especially with the Arrowverse, you have to remember they were trying to form a trinity when they didn't have the DC Trinity. They didn't have the rights to Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman in the beginning, so they tried to jam the Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl into those roles. Same with their cities. Central City is a pretty direct stand-in for Metropolis. And Metropolis is supposed to be New York. New York is on the coast. So here's the thing, your stepdad is half right. There was a pretty good portion in the comics where Joker actually wasn't murderous at all. He was just a harmless prankster. But it wasn't everything pre-Silver Age. And it wasn't everything post-Silver Age until the Nolan movies. It just was the Silver Age. Let me explain. In Joker's first appearance, he was fucking insane. Pure, cold, hard murderer. But then a kind man by the name of Frederick the Stick-Up-My-Ass is so far that the acorns dropping on my head from the tree growing out of my mouth are starting to become a problem Wortham decided that comics were just, they were too violent for the little kiddies. And he instituted a little thing by the name of the Comics Code Authority. And because of it, Joker just really couldn't be used. Or at the very least, he had to be changed to be just a dumb prankster. And no one really liked the dumb prankster, so they kind of just stopped using him for a while. Once things got a little bit more laxed in the Bronze Age, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams released a story called Joker's Five-Way Revenge. Joker was back to his roots, baby. Three Jokers also explained it, but I don't really like it. You see, you, sir, you are asking the important questions, the big ones. Let's look at the facts. So Superman was created by two Jewish creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. And Superman was originally created as an outlet for these two. So it's not ridiculously far-fetched to say that it's kind of an embodiment of who they are. While Superman's religion was never originally stated, it's not too far of a stretch to say that since he was created by Jewish creators, maybe Superman could have originally been Jewish. Circumcision is a Jewish tradition, so that leans towards yes. However, in canon, Superman is from an alien race, and through all of my research, I can't find any evidence that any Kryptonians were circumcised. So while it's not out of the question, that leans towards no. But maybe he was circumcised by John and Martha Kent when he got to Earth. But the only thing that would be able to cut Kryptonian skin, at least at that time, would be kryptonite. And there's no evidence to show that John and Martha Kent had any kryptonite. So that's another point towards no. Because even if they tried, it would just probably break the blade. So the real answer is, why the fuck are you thinking about Superman's penis? Do you want another Batman Damned? This is how you get another Batman Damned. Alright, I don't have any screen record stuff, but I'm gonna be talking about this video from Seb Supreme. If you haven't seen it already, fuck off. Go watch his shit. So he was talking about how he's surprised no one has gone full Punisher on the Joker. Like, his death sentence relies completely on Batman's morals. And he's fully aware that Clown Killer exists, but he's surprised no one's ever actually, fucking tried to do it. However, Jim by the motherfucking book Gordon tried to do it one time, and Batman gave him full permission. Story time. So for context, Joker had just murdered Gordon's second wife in the nursery of a hospital. 'Cause, he's fucked in the head. Joker fully surrenders to the GCPD, and Gordon whips out a fucking gun and puts it to his head. In fact, he uses the exact same logic as Seb. He paralyzed my daughter, he killed my wife, he doesn't deserve to live, it's irresponsible. And Batman looks at the Joker, and he looks at Jim, and he says, I mean, shit, I ain't gonna stop you. Of course, Jim didn't actually do it. He did pop a cap in his knee for the trouble, though.
And I raise you, Jason Todd lives off of Monster Energy.
Please, that's way too white trash for post-surprise time travel Jason. You gotta remember, he was raised in a white trash household. Like a real white trash household. Monster reeks of abusive father. If Monster's flavor had a name, it would be Mommy Left Before I Was Conceived. Oh man, Jason Todd lives off of Bang. Because it's so goddamn versatile. Dude can drink that, go to the gym, fight with Damien, design a new costume, abandon the new costume, go to the gym, start a new team of 3, abandon the new team of 3, go to the gym, become a bad guy again, become a good guy again, go to the gym, and then pass out from exhaustion. And it comes in so many fun flavors that there's gotta be like roast beef dinner in there somewhere. So yeah, even after all that, I will still raise you again. Dick Grayson lives off of only carbs. It's how he got so dummy thick. Wait, what are you talking about? Hold on a fucking second. Bang political donations. Oh. Oh no. Okay, yeah, no, I've seen enough. Didn't know TikTok could make me Chick-fil-A and energy drink, but god fuck, here we are. You raised an excellent point. Come to think of it, Talia probably gave him the plug to some crazy shit. He's probably got some herbal shit that'll make Rockstar, Bang, and Monster look like bitch shit. That's actually even more fun to think about. Imagine him just like not sharing any of it with Tim. Like Tim just gets super fucking jealous because Jason's able to stay up for days. Tim's on like his 17th pot of coffee and he's just like, what the fuck, man? No, yeah. Fuck Bang. Let's talk Red Hood. Well, everybody knows the story where Jason Todd died, death in the family. Jason Todd searches after his mother, gets captured by the Joker, gets beaten to a bloody fucking stain, and before Batman can save him, he's blown up. But no one fucking remembers is what happened right after that. Let me break it down. Joker. The Joker gets a position in the Iranian government. In fact, he becomes an ambassador for the Iranian government. Batman tracks him to the UN building in New York, and just kinda waits for him there for the next UN meeting. And while he's waiting, Superman arrives, because he was sent by the State Department, and he kindly asks Batman to leave the premises. Joker gets up on the stand to make a speech, because he's the fucking ambassador to Iran. And of course, because he's the fucking Joker, he tries to gas the whole chamber and kill everybody. Superman stops the gas, Batman chases after Joker, they end up in a helicopter. Because it's a comic book, of course it crashes. Superman saves Batman. Joker's body's never found. What the fuck is this story? Yes, the city he keeps in a jar. Let's talk about the lost city of Kandor. So before Krypton got all, blow-uppy, a being by the name of Brainiac wanted to preserve its culture. And being the humanitarian anthropologist that he is, and knowing that the planet was inevitably doomed, he decided to go and appropriate some of the culture. But instead of doing it the normal way, stealing hair, music, systematically killing off or oppressing all of the natives, he just decided to fucking yoink a city, put it in a cute little bottle with a cork. In fact, it looks like this. He actually does this to shit tons of planets, because he wants that knowledge. So he goes around and yoinks cities off of planets, dying or not. He's tried to take Metropolis more than once. So inevitably, when Superman stopped Brainiac, and he found a bottled city from his home planet, he decided to take it into his care, until he could find a planet that was suitable for Kryptonians. And I guess he forgot about it because it's still there. A couple writers have made a few stories about it, but I like it just being there because it's more fun.
Here's the new costume. I don't like it. No.
Oh my fucking god, thank you! I thought I was losing my mind! Here's my thing with costumes. I always like to imagine what it's like putting it on. So you hear a crime out in the city, you need to get suited up, you need to put your fucking costume on and get the fuck out there. Spider-Man, easy. It's under his clothes, he keeps the mask somewhere on his person, it's super quick. Batman, same thing, he can basically keep it under his clothes, or at the very worst, he can call the Batmobile, it has it in it, he can change on the way. Damie, why the fuck did you cut your mask in half? Is it too hard for people to tell your fucking identity? No, wait, let me take the whites out of the eyes so you can see the green so you know I'm Damian Wayne! Pick your fucking color palette, buddy, Modern Warfare 3? So you thought you could just put on a gray version of the original Robin shirt without the R and we wouldn't fucking notice, huh? Did you get the flowy sleeves from Father's silk bathrobe? Someone punches you hard enough, does one side of the mask pop off and you gotta find it like a fucking contact? Oh dumb, I hate suits, bad! I want to talk about why I love Superboy Prime so much. Don't get me wrong, I don't like him as a character because I think he's cool. I like him as a character because I think he's fucking effective. Think about it this way. I saw a video earlier today about when most writers or movie makers or anything make a character that's supposed to represent toxic masculinity, straight white guys usually go, that dude's fucking dope, and then want to be like him. First one that comes to mind there is like Tyler Durden. They don't fucking get it's supposed to be a critique. And then there's Superboy Prime. DC really went, how do we tell toxic fans that they're little shits who destroy everything they touch? I got it, we'll make their representation a little bitch who doesn't understand how to be intimidating. They made him deadly, but as far from cool as possible. Just this whiny child that complains about everything. Plus, making him as powerful as he is shows how powerful toxic fans can be in a fandom. It takes the combined effort of the good parts of the fandom to equal out that bad part. Honestly, just great writing.
Who is the least favorite Green Lantern?
Ooh, this is a tricky one. For those of you who didn't watch the original video, he's asking historically who is the least favorite Green Lantern. Specifically between Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner. You see, this is a tricky one for me because I know it's Guy Gardner. It's Guy Gardner. Everyone hates Guy Gardner. But like, personally, other than maybe Jon Stewart, he's my favorite Green Lantern. Because I don't know if you can tell by my everything, but I really like the sarcastic heroes that play by their own rules. So, Guy Gardner, yeah. But I also know that most people don't think that way. Most people think he's just a fucking asshole. Which I mean, they're not wrong, he totally is, but still. Personally, I don't really like Hal Jordan. He's a little bit too right-leaning for my standards. However, he just kinda is the Green Lantern. Like, there's a reason that whenever a new book gets released, the role gets reverted back to him. Like, yeah, he's a mass murderer, and yeah, he's pretty fucked, but he's also generally the fan favorite. Given I haven't read anything past, like, Darkest Night, so take all of this with a grain of salt. So yeah, historically, Guy Gardner, obviously, but personally, Hal Jordan. Oh, yeah, I guess that would require some explanation, yeah. Also pay mind to the fact that all of these events might not be canon anymore. All the Green Lanterns are back. So in a story called Reign of the Supermen, a villain named Mongol blew up Coast City, Hal's home. When Hal returned to the fucking crater where his home used to be, he recreated the entire thing, including all of the people, out of grief. Well, that kind of goes against one of the main rules of the Green Lanterns, where you can't use the ring for personal gain. One of the Guardians comes down, and they tell him, hey dude, we're gonna take you back to Oa, because you don't fucked up. Hal, well, you didn't take that well. He went back to Oa, alright, but he went back to take all of the power from the central power battery to recreate his city forever. And he just fucking dropped anyone who got in his way. He killed every Green Lantern, all of them, and stole their rings to boost his power. Which is where we get this terrifying ass cover. They later retconned it to say it was Parallax possessing him, but I personally think that's bullshit. I'll tell you why in part 2. This is a part 2, you know the drill if you're not supposed to be here. So why do I think that the Parallax explanation for Emerald Twilight is absolute bullshit? They might have explained this somewhere, so take this with a grain of salt. So before Emerald Twilight, Parallax was stuck in the central power battery. It was the only place that housed enough willpower energy to keep him contained. And that's what gave the rings their yellow impurity. It's what made them weak to the color yellow. So here's the thing. Hal was on a quest to go and take all of the energy from the central power battery. Meaning, he hadn't taken it yet. When he killed all the people, he didn't absorb Parallax until he had fucking murdered everyone already. So sure, after he started calling himself Parallax, yeah, of course he had Parallax stuck in his fucking brain. But when he was on his fucking holy crusade to get the fucker, that was just pure Hal. Correct me if I'm wrong if it was like, oh, he absorbed it 7 years ago and it didn't affect him until right now. That seems like a writer covering their fucking tracks. Personal opinion.
Is just like a random alien dude.
Okay, so hear me out. I got a theory about this. If you haven't seen the original video, he was basically saying it's crazy that Superman, the most powerful god-tier character in all of DC Comics, is just some fucking dude from a different planet who, when he gets exposed to a certain type of radiation, becomes a god. And all of his species can do that. He's not special. Here's my theory, though. Every Martian has that level of power. Every Zarnian has that level of power. Every Kryptonian has that level of power. Every member of the race that Mongol is from has that level of power. You can only encounter so many alien planets where every being there has a god-tier level of power before you have to wonder, are humans just weak bitches? Like, sure, in DC, Earth is like the center of the universe. Every reality-altering event usually happens on Earth. But like, are the protectors of the center of the multiverse just like ants? Evidence suggests it. Give me your opinions in the comments, that's mine. I've gotten some variation of this comment on just about every video I've posted since the Robin King was announced. So I thought I might answer it. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. Look, here's the thing. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Dark Knight's Metal thing that's been going on in general. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. It feels a little over the top for me. But Panda, we thought you loved it when things are over the top. Okay, yeah, but recently it's felt a little shark jumpy and pandering. I'm also not a huge fan that the entire DC universe is now just Batman and his amazing friends. I know, the creator who's primarily relevant because of his Batman content doesn't want the whole universe to be Batmanized. It's insane! But it feels like every single event recently in DC has been circled around Batman. Dark Knight's Metal, Joker War, Death Metal, 3 Jokers. That's all in just the last 2-3 years. Feels like they started with how grimdark can we get? Now they're just trying to test where the limit is. That's my personal opinion. Wait a goddamn minute. Do not take any of your Batman information from Bob Kane. The Batman that Bob Kane was going to create is not the Batman that you are a fan of. Pretty much everything original and cool and likable about Batman was created by his co-creator, Bill Finger. Bob Kane did not create Bruce Wayne, he didn't create the cool gadgets, he didn't create Batman's costume, and he sure as shit did not make Gotham City. He was, at best, and I'm being generous here, half responsible for those creations. In fact, Bob Kane's design for Batman looks less like the Caped Crusader and more like this dude. Just take it all in. I know it's a lot. The character of Batman before and after Bill Finger's involvement is so far removed it's basically a different character. I'm sorry, I know this had nothing to do with the original point, but to me at least, Bill Finger created Batman. Oh, well, you see, that's surprisingly simple. It's because Bob Kane is a better salesman. You see, Bill Finger was a little bit more socially reclusive. He was a little bit more of a your classic nerd. He wasn't super sociable, he didn't really talk to all that many people, he just kind of stuck to himself. Bob Kane was good enough at talking and being sociable that he was able to pitch Batman and make it seem like it was only his idea. While it was not nearly as severe as Bob Kane, that's also part of the reason that we know Stan Lee so well. Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, they weren't really social beings. They didn't really talk to the press, because they didn't really like talking to the press. Joe Simon was a little bit of a nerd, and Jack Kirby did say one thing, I fucking dare you, I will fuck you up. Can't wait to be fucking crucified for that hot take. But creators like Stan Lee and Bob Kane, they were a lot more sociable. They could talk to the press and be charming. Don't mix my words here. Stan Lee fucking earned his respect. There's a reason his name is Stan the Man Lee. Bob Kane mooshed off of Bill Finger's ideas. Oh, yeah, him. So Snowflame was a villain for this superhero team called the New Guardians. They were this experimental team that was created after Crisis on Infinite Earths, where each member was selected from a different nationality. DC pretty much used them as their talking point to talk about bigger political issues in the world. In later issues, they started talking about the AIDS epidemic and sexuality in the late 80s and early 90s, so you can imagine how well it was written. Anyway, Snowflame is a villain that only showed up in one issue. The second issue of New Guardians, to be precise. He is a supervillain with pyrokinetic powers, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, the base supervillain stuff. But he's entirely powered by cocaine. Not like cocaine makes his power strong. No, cocaine gives him his powers. And he's a drug dealer, if you couldn't figure that out to begin with. One of his powers is if you touch him, you get an instant contact high. Yeah, he's a trip. I get it, because drugs.
Flash running around with a metal helmet on, not covering his face. I would just say, I know him.
We didn't watch Dude's original video. He's basically saying, how has nobody realized who Jay Garrick is when all he wears is a little metal tin on his head and nothing else, nothing covering his face, nothing at all. My first point is, it was the golden age. Everybody got away with that. Like, back then, it didn't really matter if you were covering your face or not. If you put on any kind of costume, nobody knew who you were. However, my second point is for modern characters. Seeing as he has a secret identity, they all have secret identities. He has a secret identity. She has a secret identity. She has a secret identity. She has a secret identity. And he has a secret identity. And all of their costumes, at best, only cover up this much of their face or their hair, but you can achieve the exact same amount of coverage with a hat and sunglasses. You just kind of have to accept that nobody realizes it. Clark Kent works because Clark Kent works. Dinah Lance works because Dinah Lance works. Jay Garrick works because Jay Garrick works. So, a lot of people's favorite Robin is Tim Drake because it's the Robin that they grew up with. Like, Dick was already off beating the shit out of people with scrimmy sticks in a different city. And Jason had already been voted off the island. So like in the comics it was Tim Drake, and in the New Adventures of Batman it was Tim Drake. And then Robin was in Teen Titans, and they never really stated which one he was, but I think he was supposed to be Dick Grayson. And I'm sure someone else has pointed this out before, but did no one else notice that New Adventures of Batman is just Jason Todd? They call him Tim Drake, but literally every plot point with him is Jason Todd. He gets picked up doing a criminal activity. He's needlessly reckless. Until the Continued Adventures of Batman comic showed up, he was the second Robin. I mean, shit, in Batman Beyond, he's even scarred by the Joker permanently and comes back as a villain. Like, did they just not like the name Jason? Or, like, yeah, no, we know it's supposed to be Tim, but fuck that guy, he's boring. I don't know, I just woke up. I just thought that was weird. Hold on, someone else stitched my video and reminded me of this. You're gonna have to listen to me rant. Don't have their stitches on, go check out their video. Their name is KatieJane24. It's the stitch of my video. There was this one time in the comics where a criminal had recently gotten out of prison and gone back to his girlfriend, who he thoroughly abused the shit out of. Jason didn't like that very much. Batman said drop it, Jason said no. Batman turned around, and when he came back, Jason was gone. He had tracked the guy down to his high-rise apartment. Batman worked his way up to the terrace of this high-rise apartment, seeing all of the bodies Jason was leaving in his wake. They were just knocked out. He wasn't shooting people quite yet. When he got to the terrace, he saw the criminal falling just tens of stories to the ground, and Jason just standing there looking like... So obviously Batman asked him, hey, what the fuck happened? Which Jason, ominously as fuck, responded, he fell. And then he just fucked off and never mentioned it again. Jason was always cold as ice. Do y'all remember the time that Alfred got turned into a supervillain? Like, he straight up got superpowers and a secret identity and became a supervillain. Let me break it down for you. One time in the early 60s, Alfred got killed. Batman and Robin were in danger from a boulder, and he pushed it out of the way and he got crushed. Well, unknown to Batman and Robin, there was this other dude who took the body and tried to revive it. Then the process done got fucked up because it's a comic book and it needs to. And Alfred was turned into this dude, known as the Outsider. Alfred's body got all fucked up, he turned pale, he lost his mustache. However, when he's reverted back to Alfred, the mustache just magically instantly grows back. It's unclear if those markings on his skin are circles or warts or tumors, or if he's made of stone. No one really knows. His motivations for becoming a villain were, and I quote, I want to kill Batman and Robin. I am no longer the man I was. I've been changed in mind and body. Twisted into the reverse. And after the storyline is done, sometimes he just revert back to being the Outsider. And they kind of forgot about it after the New 52. So this comment is older than the mummy that insists that we call it Mitch McConnell, but I'm gonna answer it anyway. So 1, people are assholes. Fuck them. But 2, let me tell you why being called Kilowog should be a goddamn compliment. Because Kilowog is a scary fucking badass. For those of you who don't know, the Green Lanterns are basically space cops. Each of them is assigned a sector, and they're in charge of protecting that sector. And each sector is roughly 30 million light years in diameter. Kilowog patrols his sector alone, as well as being in charge of training every new Green Lantern. Did I mention that the man is also a fucking tank? You know how most Green Lanterns use their rings to create, like giant boxing gloves and shit like that? Use the power of your mind to defeat your enemy with your imagination. You know, fuck that. Kilowog uses his ring to put a protective shell over himself, fly real close to the enemy, and then beat the shit out of him with his bare hands. Oh, and did I mention that he's also a hyper-intelligent genetic scientist? So if any of your friends call you Kilowog as an insult, call them all a bunch of poosers and then kick their ass. Oh shit, are you being serious? No hate on this person, just let me explain. There's an old Superman story that was republished recently that is called Superman Smashes the Klan, because his ideology stands in direct opposition of the group that openly and continuously supports that Cheeto dust covered troll doll. Kal-El is an actual illegal alien. Superman sees the entire world through a literal bird's eye view. The way he views the world is almost exactly opposite of Trump's entire ideology. Superman being the stooge of a despotic Republican government is exactly the apocalyptic endpoint that he had in The Dark Knight Returns. Dude, the last time a Republican was in office, Superman revoked his American citizenship. Superman was raised on the exact type of Midwestern farmland that would have been crushed under the capitalistic boot of Donald Trump.
Let me know your thoughts, and if you disagree with me, Who would you cast as Jason Todd?
Okay, so hear me out. Jason Todd is my favorite member of the Bat family, if not the DC universe, so hear me out on this. Jason Todd died in his late teens, roughly 16 to 18 if I'm remembering correctly. He was brought back a couple of years later. He was the same age physically. And then he aged a few years after that because he needed to train to become the Red Hood. So at the latest, Jason Todd as the Red Hood is in his early 20s. We also gotta remember that he's like the tank of the Bat family. He's at the smallest a little leaner than Bruce. But I probably wouldn't cast Adam Driver, he's just a little bit too old for me. It's the same reason I probably wouldn't cast Jensen Ackles either. He's just a little bit too old to be able to pass for being in his 20s. Even if physically they're not that much older, visually they look a lot older. Personally, I think John Boyega would be a really good option. I think he'd really be able to capture that raw emotion that really defines Jason. Zac Efron would probably be a really good pick, but he's also just a little bit too old for my taste. I think Jamie Bell is in his 30s, but he looks a lot younger, so I think he'd be a good option too. Those are my picks, let me know yours. Hey, you know the One Ring from Lord of the Rings? Yeah, what if it was worse? Let's talk Orange Lanterns. So for those of you who are unaware, in the DC universe, each emotion is assigned a color. Green is will, yellow is fear, pink is love, red is rage, indigo is compassion, and orange is avarice, otherwise known as greed. All of these colors have a Lantern Corps equivalent. Generally, it's a group of individuals gathered from throughout the universe that greatest exemplify the emotion that they're representing. All except the Orange Lantern Corps. You see, there's really only one Orange Lantern ring. As soon as you see it, it's the only thing you want. No one else can have it. Oh, and I don't remember if it's everyone killed by or everyone killed for the ring, but those who are killed have their souls permanently trapped in the ring, for lack of a better term. So there's not an Orange Lantern Corps. There's a legion of Orange Lantern light constructs that each have the powers of a ring. Oh, and their oath is great. What's mine is mine, and yours is mine, and mine and mine and mine, not yours.
So my question is, why is Superman swole?
It's because he looks cool. It's that lizard brain logic that everybody has that goes, man is strong, man must be big. However, I myself have a few theories as to why he's big. First of all, yes, he's horrendously strong, but he also needs to have horrendous muscle control. Everybody loves to quote, he lives in a world of cardboard. If everything you touch is on the edge of breaking at all times, you are constantly going to be flexing just to hold your muscles back, which will tear the muscle fibers over time, which will inevitably end up making you bigger. My second theory is that he probably has some super heavy weights at the Fortress of Solitude. Like he's gotta, right? Like he probably went out and got some super heavy metal from an alien planet, brought it back to Earth, and then just started fucking pumping it. My third theory is that Superman's muscles don't operate the same way ours do. I mean, he basically already operates off of photosynthesis, so why can't his muscles operate kind of like a plant does? The more sun and nourishment he gets, the bigger they grow. My fourth theory is that he's just always trained under red sun lamps. No, it's not a joke. It's a holdover from the early years of Batman and Robin. Because honestly, with the early stuff in Batman and Robin, you can't blame people for thinking those two were fucking. They used to do some honestly pretty fucking sus shit. And honestly, it wasn't really helped by Frederick. If I was any more of an asshole, I'd wear pants for a hat were them. People thought Batman and Robin were gay for each other so much that Batgirl and Batwoman were created. Which is hilarious, if only because they made Batwoman gay later, which makes it even fucking better. Because now we have nothing but love for the Rainbow Brigade. He stereotyped the living shit out of the Alphabet Mafia in all of the worst ways. Which isn't to say there weren't some pretty explicit things that implied that Batman and Robin swung to more than one building, but still. Here's some examples. There's them sleeping in the same bed. There's them having a relaxing night tanning together. There's literally the kiss the girl scene from The Little Mermaid. There's whatever the fuck is going on there. So no, it's not a joke, it's just that a well-respected bigot said it once.
So what the fuck is his contingency for Shazam?
Psychological warfare, probably. Like, you gotta remember, Billy Batson is like 13. He is a child walking amongst literal gods. He idolizes all of these people. The movie made him a little bit more of a badass and a little bit more like, nah, I don't need to like superheroes, fuck you. But like, Comic Billy's a nerd. All he wants is for these people to like him. Basically just bait him into saying his own name. Kind of like just like a schoolyard bully. Just keep poking and prodding at him until he eventually says Shazam. And then all he's got to do is restrain him or beat the shit out of the 13-year-old. And he's Batman. He's got no problems kicking the shit out of a child. Option number 2 was steal Wonder Woman's lasso and then tie it around Shazam and then make him say the magic word. And since it's a lasso of truth, all Batman's got to ask is, what is the word that changes you back to Billy Batson? Billy'll just go Shazam. Then boom, see previous step about child abuse. You'd be surprised how many of Batman's contingencies are just psychologically fucked with all of his closest friends. He's just a bit of a dick.